He booked a conference in Miami. I sat beside him with her fiancé on the plane. My husband Mark told me he was going on a business trip to Miami for a high-stakes corporate conference. It was a lie. The only conference he was attending was a private rendezvous with his assistant, Sarah, at a luxury resort. What he didn't know was that a silent, meticulous plan was already in motion. The first phase had begun the moment I found the evidence. Now the final phase would unfold not in a courtroom or a boardroom, but in a small, enclosed space at 30,000 feet. If you're watching, subscribe and tell me where you're tuning in from. Our marriage had been a comfortable, predictable affair for 12 years. Mark was a senior executive at a tech firm, and I was a private investor who handled our family's finances. He traveled often, or so I thought. His trips were always well documented, itineraries, hotel bookings, and a steady stream of text messages that, in hindsight, were a little too perfectly timed. The cracks in his narrative began to appear subtly. He started staying late at the office, claiming a new, demanding project. He'd arrive home tired, distracted, and dismissive. "Just a tough week, darling," he would say, using a patronizing tone he reserved for when I thought I was being a clingy housewife. I let it go for a time, telling myself it was just work stress. The inciting discovery came not from a dramatic confession, but from a mundane detail. I was reconciling our credit card statement, a task Mark had long insisted I handle. Tucked between charges for business dinners and office supplies, I found a $45 charge for a private airport shuttle service. It wasn't the cost that bothered me, but the date and time. It was a Saturday morning, 2 days before his flight was scheduled to depart. A conference doesn't start on a weekend, and executives don't pre-book private shuttles to a residential address. The address, a quick Google search revealed, belonged to Sarah. It was a small but crucial piece of evidence that transformed my unease into concrete suspicion. From that moment, I became a quiet, relentless investigator. Mark's phone was locked with a fingerprint, but his computer was not. Using my skills with corporate databases and a little social engineering, I found Sarah's personal details, including her LinkedIn profile. The first thing I noticed was a photo of her on a ski trip with an arm wrapped around a man I didn't recognize. His profile revealed he was David, an accomplished software engineer. He was also her fiancé. This was a crucial piece of information. The revenge wasn't just about me and Mark. It was about an innocent third party. The next step was a stroke of pure, controlled genius. I looked up Mark's flight details, which he had left on a loose itinerary on his desk. The airline was American, flight number 783, from our city to Miami. Then I cross-referenced that with David's social media. He had posted a story from the previous evening, showing a suitcase. The caption was a simple, "Time for a well-deserved vacation." I used an airline seat map tool to find an open seat. Just one was available, 15C. The seat next to it was 15B. I bought the ticket for $800. My target was sitting right there. The day of the flight, I arrived at the gate an hour before boarding, a small carry-on by my side. I had a ticket to Miami, a confirmed boarding pass for the same flight as Mark and Sarah, and a plan that was about to unfold with quiet, terrifying precision. As I sat in the departure lounge, a man with a tired but kind face sat down beside me. He was tall, dressed in a simple t-shirt and jeans. It was David. My heart rate stayed calm, a testament to the quiet power I felt. "Hi," I said, a smile on my face. "Going to Miami?" He nodded. "Yeah, my fiancée Sarah and I are meeting up there. She had to take an earlier flight for a work thing." This was it, the moment to execute the midpoint twist. I didn't hesitate. I pulled my phone out and showed him a screenshot of a text message conversation I had found on Mark's computer. It was a series of flirty messages between Mark and Sarah discussing their work trip to Miami and a booking at a resort, complete with a shared confirmation number. David's face went from tired to a mask of disbelief. He looked at me, then at the phone, then back at me. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper.
"I'm Mark's wife," I said, my voice steady, "and I think we're both about to be made fools of." The plan was now shared. David and I exchanged phone numbers and spent the entire flight talking. He was not just Sarah's fiancé. He was the son of Mr. Henderson, the CEO of Mark's company. This wasn't just a personal betrayal, it was a corporate scandal waiting to happen. We agreed that the confrontation needed to be public. The humiliation had to match the disrespect. We worked out every detail, from who would speak first to what documents we would show. I had copies of the flight receipts, the shared resort booking, and Mark's company's expense report for the same period, which showed a completely different set of charges. David had a photo of Sarah's engagement ring, a detail he was particularly proud of. We had an arsenal of evidence, and we would use it all at the moment they least expected it.